that chart you have there shows the series of transformations of those 4 major clusters of energy that are cosmic: light, love, power, and joy, back to themselves. The virtue of energy's way is that, as best as I can tell, through hundreds and hundreds of trials, all of those energies are enhanced together and in balance safely, in minutes, better than you can do in an hour of yoga, and then another hour of meditation, another hour of qigong, and another hour of tantra. So you have something that goes directly in to how do you bring you at your best, which is always you anew, but most fully you, all of the energies together. Answer: this fusion that has emerged in the age of the smartphone, all fused. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Just sharing with you a rough draft of a pitch that you can add.
Right, and so looking at the Mama Cosmos 4 major energy clusters, those 4 major energy clusters are what? The wise, loving, potent joy?
Well, the energy, depending on what level you're talking about, it comes to us as nervous, cardiovascular, metabolic, reproductive system.
Right.
Physically, the head, torso, limbs, and genitals. And experientially or psychologically, it comes, well, I put notice, think. Thinking, feeling, willing, and desiring are the functions psychologically. The higher expression of them in wisdom is wise, loving, potent joy. Or we call it out there light, love, power, and joy.
Right, got it. So what you're saying is if we were to do the figures of 8 patiently, gently, sensitively, and pleasurably, you're allowing the nervous system and the cardiovascular system, metabolic system, reproductive system to be synchronized and, right, welcome to radiate. Coherently, right. So embody, so you enact it by doing the figure of 8, then embody systematically, allowing it to radiate, experiencing it psychologically with 13 joints that are being activated, which you then exude and welcome wise, loving, potent, and joy energy. Right.
So there's some steps there you and I have not gone over carefully yet.
No.
As you do the move, you will, as you go patiently, gently, sensitively, pleasurably, and minimally, begin to notice, feel, and experience that you can allow the moves to radiate. And you'll be able to tell this with your eyes closed better than with them open.
I've got a question. When I'm doing the figure of 8, do I do the figure of 8, I go up to the right, back down, up to the left, back down. Then do I stop and then go to the left?
No.
Or do I continue going to the right?
Continue.
Continue, right, back down to the left, back down, up to the right. And I always go in that direction?
Yes.
Right.
You're always opening out this way. You're always opening the vortex up and out.
Right.
Side and the other side.
Left, slowly, down, turtle, up, peacock, down, turtle, up.
And the word slow is a trap because it makes it about speed, which puts you in an observer. Rather, patiently, gently, sensitively takes you into notice this, feel this, experience this, which takes you into participating along with what you're enacting.
Mm. Right.
It melts the detachment, separation, everything else at even the physical behavior level. This is the downside of British materialism. It made us into detached observers because those guys in the Royal Academy couldn't feel shit. They were numb.
Right.
So they made everything about the top of their head conceptions, and everything else was observed. So now as you do the moves with the middle of your chest, you can notice, feel, experience radiating them, or the reverberations of them radiating. And then something interesting becomes possible. To some degree, you may be able to notice the moves registering in, say, your left hip. You notice, feel, experience whatever you can in your left hip. It may only be glimmers or faint hints. They may only be occasional. You don't try to make it happen there. You invite and welcome the noticing, feeling, experiencing in your left hip.
Why did you say my left hip, Artie?
Why do I say the left? Just to start with the side where you're most receptive.
And I've had an operation on my left hip.
Wow, if I knew that, I probably would have had you start with your right.
No, it's fine. It's just
Okay.
interesting. No, my left's fine. It's just interesting you said that.
Okay. May have been something else going on. But anyway, you got that. To whatever degree you do, then notice, feel, experience your right or your left shoulder. To whatever degree you can, registering by welcoming reverberations of the moves there. And then your left knee. Notice, feel, experience by welcoming there. And your left elbow. And to whatever degree this happens, your left ankle and wrist. So all 6 major joints on your left side. You may be able to get some vague hint of being able to notice, feel, experience your whole left side, welcoming the moves registering there. And some slight increased shimmering or tingling or vibrating going on your left side that's not in your right. Wonderful that you can. That's beautiful. You're very sensitive that you can feel that.
Tingling in my toes and feet.
Wonderful. Then you can bring that experience over to your right side, your hip and shoulder, knee and elbow, ankle and wrist, and then eventually neck. And you can welcome the reverberations of the moves in all of you. And notice this, that where you're welcoming is no place that's delimited or localized. You have a welcome that greets you. You're welcoming, being welcomed into all of you. You're coming alive more fully. How can you tell? Because you can feel it. The tingling, shimmering, vibrating all through you. Welcoming, welcoming, that's a grounded experience of living that, as you notice, feel, experience carefully, does not have a distinctive boundary. That's your first hint that there's actually data and experience that justifies calling life cosmic. There are no boundaries, no discernible boundaries. You can't take a measuring rod out and walk it off, but you can tell that unlike visual depictions or what you hear with your ears, that this sensate, inclusive, sixth sense, intuitive, that includes all the other 5 senses, is capable of reaching into life and discovering that its source is boundless. That becomes the coherent ground from which your noticing gets wise. You're feeling intrinsically loving, embracing. And your ability to do all this that's effortless starts to open into the effortless self-gifting that is power itself at its maximum. There's no force in it. And the pleasure doesn't have to be localized in genitals, although you can tell it gets more and more delicious. Even erotic at times, it's making love with life. You're hugging, being hugged. Consummating, communing.
Almost can't stop. Almost can't stop.
Now, Faye, that's wonderful. Exactly. That's living in joy, sweetheart. That's what you want to share, the ability to touch. That it's as simple as this. Wonderful.
Can I learn more about the theory behind it?
Absolutely.
On YouTube?
Only a little. Read that chapter I sent you.
Right, yeah.
That's where it's worked out in more detail in the subsequent chapters to come.
Right, yeah. Okay, well, there we go. That's perfect, because that informs my understanding, because that's what I always need behind the backing of me.
Here's the understanding. We have energy in a top-of-the-head, dead, dumb, numb, dead conceptualization. It's electromagnetism or it's gravity. Actually, ancient wisdom, and what you can tell from this experience is energy is alive. The cosmos is alive. We are the cosmos and she is alive. And what is energy then? When energy is the cosmos and she is alive, she originates it all. How? By means of herself. With what outcome? Into more of herself. She emerges out of by means into more of herself. It's all reflexive. That's the 1, 2, 3 of all ultimate disciplines. That's what you'll read in chapter 1 and you'll get it. And you'll see that the reflexivity that turns into the toroidal dynamics of the solution to Einstein's curved space-time, cut it down in the middle, you get the figure 8. Redo the figure 8, that's the depiction in 2 planes. Or, pardon me, a plane of 2 dimensions. Toroidally, it's 3 dimensions. In 4 dimensions with time added, it's this whole business. Wow! And most experientially, it's the hug.
Yeah.
Out of, by means of, into more of herself turns back, it's self-hugging. You will get that more in part 3, where I show you the sacred geometry of this.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's so crazy how, as human beings, we overcomplicate everything.
Well, we tried to simplify it so we can control it, but the we who've done that are the same we who invented torture racks for witches and heretics. You tear apart the life, and you construct a machine that dominates nature to force from her her secrets. That's Roger Bacon of the British Enlightenment. Right. So there's no life in the scientific paradigm, at least a materialistic version of it. This is bringing it back in. And I didn't originate this. I discovered a version of it, never more fully articulated than in Rudolf Steiner and in Bucky Fuller. So, and I pass that on in the book.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, Rudolf Steiner. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So for me, I want to continue, reading into that and informing like my understanding as I learn more and experience more of it and teach it and share that knowledge to be reading the background of all of this as well, which is what I'm going to continue doing. So that's exciting.
And what you got me to guide you through on this video is going to be a clearer set of accompanying guidelines for you getting to the experience that's so meaningful to you than anything on my YouTube playlist. Because this is done with you, to you, in a way that the energy you will experience again if you watch this.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's what I do to learn and cement it in, is to watch it again, the recordings. So
Wonderful,
yeah.
wonderful, wonderful. Diligent, organized, dedicated,